What is up, guys? It is a beautiful day today, as you can see, and since we don't have a truck, I guess we'll work on the Viper. I got some stuff that I've been meaning to do on the Viper. Nothing in particular wrong with it, but just with age, different stuff, I'm sure you guys can understand, starts to need to be replaced. So in this case, what we're gonna do is the thermostat housing gasket is just ever so slightly leaking. I did replace it a year or two ago when I put a new Mopar thermostat in there. I put a lower temperature thermostat in there, but I replaced it with a Cometic one, or Cometic, however you want to pronounce it. And the thermostat housing on these friggin' things is buried. It's actually underneath the intake manifold. I think you guys can see there. See that like half a circle right here? This round thing? Right there, you can kind of barely see it. Well, it is just weeping ever so slightly. Not enough to make a big issue, but you just get this there. There's half of it there. You just get like the kind of scent of antifreeze in the cabin, and it's just annoying. So one of the fun things about this little project that we're going to be doing, though, is that in order to access it, the intake manifold does have to come off. So you can see there's the top hose, and it leads to the thermostat housing right there. And this has to be propped up so that we can access the bolts. So there's about 1 million bolts on this here. You can see them right there. So you have to sit there and get some extensions, do all that fun stuff. We're gonna prop up the intake manifold and hopefully replace that gasket. I'll show you that gasket. I just got it inside, but we already got the air box off. It actually comes apart pretty easily, but obviously the thermostat itself and accessing the thermostat housing is a little bit more difficult because, like I said, that intake has to come off. So anyways, I actually have an official video on this. It's probably a little bit older, but yeah, some of my older videos are a little bit hard for me to watch just because I wasn't too familiar with the whole video and editing process. But yeah, I do have a video on exactly how to do that, but I'll walk you guys through the steps in this video just for fun. Like I said, airbox has to come off, and we got to drain the coolant. There is actually a drain on this radiator, but it's easier just to pull the bottom radiator hose right there. So anyways, let me get this thing on the lift. I think I'm probably going to do that, or at least jack it up a little bit, because I just got to pop that hose off, but the rest of the stuff is from the top. So let's continue. All right, I'm cheating just a little bit. I jacked it up just enough so I can slide a pan under there, and just because the car is so low. And then I do have the lower radiator hose disconnected, but I don't want it to come gushing out, so I'm just kind of pulling off ever so slightly, and then left the radiator cap on over here just so it doesn't come flying out. I really don't have to take it down too much because I'm not draining the entire system. I just have to get it below the top of the block here because it's on the very, very top of the engine. So I'm probably not going to drain a whole lot out of here, just enough so that this upper hose is empty. So I'm going to drain some more out, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, next up, we're going to start to get things removed from the front of the intake manifold just so that we can prop this up. I don't have windshield wipers, but in this case, I'm going to relieve these two Phillips screws so that when we prop up the intake manifold, this can articulate up, and you guys will see what I'm talking about once we do that. And a lot of stuff doesn't have to be removed. Like, we don't have to remove the throttle cable or anything towards the back of the intake manifold, since we're just going to be tilting it up. But things like this, like this one, I think it's idle air control valve, like clips like this that are in the front, they're gonna have to come off. And then we also have, I think, a throttle position sensor right there. So let's remove some of that stuff, and then we'll continue. So fuel injector clips also do have to come off, and they come off pretty simply. You'll see on the side here, they don't have any metal clip like you might be used to, but what you do is you take a screwdriver, a small one like this, and you put it in like this, and you lift up just ever so slightly. So same example here, and one of the sides usually you can get to lift up. So if you kind of just put it like that, one of the tabs is already done for you. And you'd be surprised it's this easy for them to come off. You just pry up like that, tiny bit. That's it. So same thing on this one. We'll cock it to the one side so the one's already off. Put that in there, pry it up a little bit, and then just wiggle it off. Okay, so they're all off. Next up, I can't remember because it's been a while since I've done this. I think this brake booster line does have to get disconnected, but it might not have to. We'll see once we get there. Vacuum lines do have to get disconnected. So there's these vacuum tees that are just kind of sitting here, and you just pop them off like that. What else? Here's what I was telling you about. So this is loose so that this can articulate up. You can go the full extent of taking, it's not that much more, you know, Phillips screw here and on the other side, which I might do. Just so that it's completely out of your way and then you have full access to the intake manifold without having this silly thing in your way. But less work the better at this point. So I'm gonna start removing these intake manifold bolts though. They're I believe a 10 mil, they might be an 11. I'll double check in a second, but I'm gonna start removing those. So I ended up taking off a couple more things, and last time I propped it up, but this time I'm just going to position it out of the way. So I ended up putting a blanket underneath and just resting it over there. And reason being is because this gives me direct access without having to try to work under it. Last time when it was propped up, I was working under it. And there's a bunch of wire harnesses that feed all these injectors. One of them being this one, which leads down to who knows where. There's probably a clip down there, but I really didn't want to dig for it. So that's why I didn't take it completely off. I did have to disconnect the fuel line, but it's just this kind of super easy. I didn't even need a special tool. I've seen people with special tools with these, but I literally just pushed it in with my hand and this black part, and the rest came off. So it's pretty easy. And then now we'll just go ahead and remove this. There's just 3 bolts, and these are 11 mil bolts. Every single one of these bolts on the intake manifold is 11 mil. It does have a torque spit in the middle if you want to use that, but I was just using the 11 mil. And there we go. So we'll take off our hose and take out these 3 bolts and this hose and get this thing out of there. So I did have a brand new OEM Mopar gasket ready to go, but on further inspection, like I said, I did have this apart about a year ago, and I have a Cometic gasket in there, but it's actually not the gasket leaking, because you guys can see this kind of crud here, because you could just get a faint smell of it or a hint of it. It's actually this hose. If you see all the crust on the end of this hose, that's the coolant that was coming out dripping on the housing, leading me to think it was the housing, but I'm not going to go through the headache of taking that off. I don't need to. It's actually just this hose. So you can see this hose with this clamp on here has just gotten baked over the years from being in the heat right there. And it's just, I think it's lost its elasticity and it's not sealing anymore. It's just turned into a brittle old hose. And it's not that long. It's only, I don't know, maybe 10 inches long. So I'm gonna disconnect it from here, run over to the hardware store, not hardware store, but just AutoZone or whatever, and grab a new section of hose, and we should be back in business. So we'll be right back after we get the hose. All right, back from the store. We got some heater hose, same as the old one. And again, you can see this one is just completely roasted. It's not leaking, but it's just gotten so brittle, and it's not sealing, obviously. So let's go ahead and toss this new one on, and we'll continue. I'm also replacing some of the other vacuum lines and tees. Like, this is what normal vacuum line should have been like, right? And I mean, look at how it springs back. You can fold it. Look at this stuff. You literally can't even bend it. It's just so, and I can't even take it off of this tee. I have to cut it off like the other one, wherever it is. I literally had to cut this off just to get it off. Like, I'm pushing on it all the way, and it's just not mending at all. So that's part of the reason why this heater hose, because there's just such high heat in that area. And I'm going to be replacing all these hoses. And here are the 2 PCV vacuum lines. They come from the top of the crankcase, and these ones are also super brittle. Like, they don't even bend whatsoever. And I don't know if you guys can see, but probably more so there. Look how brittle they are. They're both doing the same thing. I had to cut them just to get them off. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, they're just super dried out and cracked. So got some brand new hose as well for that, and we're gonna throw that on. All right, so we have everything installed. We have our new line here, some new rubber hoses here as well, and we're ready to put the, we'll use the brake cleaner first. We're ready to put the intake manifold back on. You guys probably noticed that I'm reusing the gaskets, but they are newer gaskets. They're not damaged. There's really no reason to replace them. Some people might argue with me, but like I said, these are already new. I replaced them not too long ago, and they weren't damaged when we took them apart. So we're gonna go ahead and put everything back together, and we're good to go. Tip of mine, if you're going to be doing something like this, one little trick I use is take a piece of electrical tape and put it over the end of your Torx bit, the camera focuses, just like that, so that when you put this bolt on, it doesn't fall off. It actually holds it in place. So it's not a magnet obviously, but it's as good as a magnet can get. So you can put your bolts on the end, and it's snug enough that it'll keep it on there, but then it'll come off. See? Just like that, so the bolt won't come off, because you guys can probably see I'm putting these things in there pretty far, and dropping them in there isn't fun fishing them out either. So, and then you just put a piece of electrical tape over top of where your bit goes as well, just so that the bit doesn't fall out or get stuck in the end, and that's it. So the intake manifold bolts are all tight, and you can just use something like this, and this is probably one of the better things. I think this is a 12-inch quarter-inch drive extension, and then 11 mil socket, and it fits beautifully in here, as you can see, all these bolts without any headache or hassle. So I'd recommend picking up that. Okay, as far as what's next, we put this little stud on the back here because it holds this rat's nest of wires. Re-put in our map sensor. We put all of our fuel injector clips back on. Nothing fancy or crazy about that. You just click them on. Now I gotta put the throttle cable back on. Consists of pushing this back in, clicking that in, and then I gotta use two hands to put this over and around. This just kind of sits like that, nothing too crazy. That's pretty well it. I just gotta throw the airbox on. The vacuum lines are back on. Again, they're just kind of two T's that go on right here. Nothing too wild. And yeah, let's throw the last bit of it together and wrap it up. Aside from my soul. So it's all done. Everything is back together. Everything's tight, and we actually already did the coolant. I didn't want to cover too much about coolant or antifreeze because that really gets opinionated, honestly. A lot of people have it. It's almost like oil. Everybody has their personal preference on coolant, and you can go on the forums and browse for hours and listen to people argue over which coolant is the best to use, whether you use the Mopar 5-year, Mopar 10-year, Peak Lifelong, traditional, the green stuff, the orange, the oat stuff, OAT, like it goes on forever. You guys figure it out, whatever one you want to go with. And but once you figure out which one you want to go with, you pretty much just fill this reservoir here. A little secret on the Vipers. It's not actually a very good secret or one that anybody's proud of, but there's a secondary reservoir in here. You guys can see, I don't even know if you can see that. It's so hard. Right here, there's actually a fluid level indicator. There's a little kind of sight glass, not even glass, but like a sight area, and it's a clear plastic bottle that's in here. And it attaches, it's the overflow bottle, you guys. So this here, similar to a rad cap, is the overflow tank that heads down there. So you have to make sure that one's in check. But you pretty much just start the car, keep filling this one here, let the fan cycle. Every time the fans cycle, you'll see that the coolant keeps dropping. Squeeze your top hose, squeeze your bottom hose. You'll keep seeing air bubble up, and it'll fill the system. But you'll do that, and generally what I like to do, this is kind of just a personal preference, is I'll let it get up to temperature. You always want to check your temperature gauge, make sure nothing's overheating. But I'll get it fully up to temp, let the fan cycle a few times. With the cap off, I'll cap it, and then I'll let it fully cool, and then I'll open the cap and see where it's at, because generally it'll suck the system back down, and you can top it up again. I like to do that maybe 2-3 times before I can consider it good. And of course, you're gonna have to check the tank that's over there. There is a cap on it, but you guys can obviously tell there's no way to get to it. Like, it's just a ridiculous design that way. So what people do is they'll take the wheel off, because like I can't even show you the indicator, but they'll take the wheel off and then they'll disconnect this hose, and they'll put a funnel into this hose and fill that remote reservoir up, so that it's within halfway or in the, the high and the low points, and then they'll reattach this hose back here. So just a little Viper secret for you guys if you guys are ever thinking of getting into one of these. All right, you guys, so that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. Just little updates besides the Viper. Obviously, we're getting this thing back in check, and we'll be using this a lot more, putting it on the road, just going to road courses, all that fun stuff. As far as, I've been putting out different videos, some of them just for fun, some of them just to start conversation, but I really do still want to get a Z06. Only other thing I'm kind of thinking is, a lot of people did mention doing like a budget type build, like a, quote, air quotes, for the people build type thing, like the average Joe, where they would maybe pick up like an old Corvette and just mod the living crap out of it. I'm kind of thinking about that. That would be kind of fun. And it might fill the gaps until I can actually find a car that I want to buy, because these newer Z06s are not cheap. We're looking at the $50,000 to $60,000 range for a 2015 and up, and I don't want to rush it, because obviously if I'm spending that much money, to me that's a significant amount of money, and like this Viper didn't even almost cost that much. But yeah, it's something that I want to do research on. I just don't want to blind or foolishly go to the dealership and just pick one up, because one, I don't have that kind of money, and two, that's not how we do things on Boosted Motorsports. You guys already know we try to find the best deal and save you guys money, and do it for the average guy. So anyways, that's gonna do it. Like I said, I'm still searching. If you guys find any Z06s for a good price, let me know. DM me, or I usually read all the comments, so hit me up. But thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Take care.